Shalom, you guys. Welcome back. I just thought I'd redo the audio from that last video that I did on the Gymnasium, Greek customs against the law. And so at the question I had at the time was based on scripture, why do you suppose this went against the law? Particularly this latter part of verse 11. It says, he took away putting down the governments which were according to the law, and he brought up new customs against the law. So I'm like wondering, why would anything pertaining to exercise and the gym, how was these things against the law? These weren't explicitly discussed, but through AI, which we know is pulling from all types of sources, it can deduce why these things may be. All right, and so again, based on scripture, why do you suppose this went against the law? 2 Maccabees chapter 4, verse 10 through 15. Which when the king had granted, he had gotten into his hand the rule, he forthwith brought his own nation to Greekish fashion. And the royal privileges granted of special favor by the Jews by the means of John, the father of Eupolemus, who went ambassador to Rome for amity and aid. He took away the putting down and putting down the governments which were according to the law, our customs. He brought up new customs against the law, which were these. For he built gladly a place of exercise. No problem. He had no problem building a place of exercise. It's saying a place of exercise is against the law. Under the tower itself, and brought the chief young men under his subjection and made them wear a hat. We see that today, brothers and sisters, when we take our young men and we put them into athletics, and then the best of them are taken through a draft or through recruiting, and then they're placed into colleges or to the NBA or NFL, and they're put into uniform. In this case, they're made to wear a hat because these sports and things were done naked. The hat determined whose team a person was on. All right. Now, such was the height of Greek fashions, an increase of heathenish manners. Heathenish manners. These wasn't our own customs. These were heathenish manners. Through the exceeding profaneness of Jason, that ungodly wretch, and no high priest, that the priest had no courage to serve any more at the altar, but despising the temple and neglecting the sacrifices, hastened to be partakers of the unlawful allowance and the place of exercise, after the game of discus called them forth, not setting by the honors of their fathers, but liking the glory of the Grecians best of all. So again, discus was also done naked. There's I might put it in the video here, but there's a statue of a guy throwing a discus, and he is naked. Might put it in here. I don't know. We'll see. You'll see in the final edit, right? This passage from 2 Maccabees chapter 4, verse 10 through 15 illustrates a profound violation of the law and covenant identity of the Israelites. Here's why this shift to Greek customs was considered against the law. So then we have some bullet points, okay? The first one, forsaking the Torah for foreign customs. Verse 11, he brought up new customs against the law. The law of Moses, which is called the Torah, governed every aspect of Israelite life, including worship, governance, clothing, behavior, and diet. To replace those divine laws with Greek customs was to reject Yahweh's commandments, or some will say Yahweh commandment. Oh, we can just say Jehovah. Was to reject Jehovah's commandments, which was forbidden. Deuteronomy 12:30-32. So let's get Deuteronomy 12:30-32. See what that says. All right. Deuteronomy 12:30. All right. Let's start up here. Verse 29. When the Lord thy Elohim, when Jehovah thy Elohim shall cut off the nations from before thee, whither thou goest to possess them, and thou succeedest them, and dwellest in their land, take heed to thyself that thou be not snared by following them, that they be destroyed, by following them after they be destroyed from before thee, and that thou inquire not after their gods, saying, how did these nations serve their gods? Even so will I do likewise. Right? Thou shalt not do so unto Jehovah thy Elohim. For every abomination to Jehovah which he hateth have they done unto their gods. For even their sons and their daughters have they burnt in the fire unto their gods. What thing soever I command you, observe to do it. Thou shalt not add thereto, nor diminish from it. And we know Proverbs 3:31 tells us specifically, envy thou not the oppressor, and to choose none of his ways. So, as it pertains to anything our oppressor is doing, hey, if they show a pattern that this is a way of life for them, we're not supposed to follow after those ways, especially when it becomes something that is trendy of them, or a known, something known to be of their culture, right? Because you won't go in anywhere in the scriptures and see that, Israelites were as it pertains to gym going, you won't see that. You won't see that Israelites were fond or keen to exercising, and that they were developing places specifically to do those things. Okay. Excuse me. Let me slide that back over. Point 2. The destruction of God-given government. Putting down the governments which were according to the law. Putting down the governments which were according to the law. Israel's leadership structure, priests, elders, and judges, was rooted in Torah. Exodus 18, Deuteronomy 6-18. By replacing these with Hellenistic Greek rule, Jason was undermining God's or Elohim's ordained system. This also made room for corruption and idolatry. Point 3. Introduction of the gymnasium, place of exercise. Now, we all have known this. Many of us, I know for sure, have known of this passage, that this was something in the scriptures. I know many of you know this. But for those who don't, okay, you lived in ignorance. Now, how do we know that this is a thing and then we continue to go to it? We don't all continue to go to the Christian church after we learned what the lies were in there, right? Even though we know the truth, we're still not going there to practice our faith, because we understand that is a place of lies. Even though we're comfortable in our understanding, we're still not attending these places, but yet we'll go to these places. Verse 12 through 13. Built gladly a place of exercise. Increase of heathenish manners. The Greek gymnasium wasn't just about athletics. It promoted nakedness, idol worship, and pagan philosophy. Israelites would have undressed publicly, which violated modesty laws. Exodus 20 through 20 and 26, and often required participation in pagan rituals. It encouraged assimilation into pagan culture, pulling people away from God. Now, it says that it encouraged it promoted nakedness through gym culture, I'll say. Now, many of you know, brothers especially, when you go to the gym, you're gonna get more than just a workout on. You're gonna get a workout and you're gonna get a show, okay? Because the women that are in the gym are dressed entirely immodestly, because that is one of the first places, much like the beach. The beach promotes nakedness, right? And we have laws against that. And so when we go to the gym, it also promotes you to dress lesser, more provocatively, if you will, because you're meant to be seen there. The gym is really just a temple of self-worship, to be honest. Take it from me. I was a guy who used to do two-a-days. Since realizing these things and the like how Ephesians 6 and 12 says, we wrestle not against flesh and bone, but against spiritual wickedness in high places. These things are encouraged in the gym. So much so, even men these days are saying, yo, why are women wearing that to the gym? You damn near got on panties in the gym. Women are in bra and the sports bras and stuff in the gym. You get to go see a woman. Now don't get me wrong. We can see this everywhere. But when we go to the gym, you can see a woman in a manner much like you would see her if you were kicking it with her at home. Remember back in the day, you might go over to your girl house and she might be in some boy shorts and tank top, or boy shorts and sports bra, or bra period. And you would be in the comfort of your home, or her home, your home, with her dressed like that. Now you can go, if you don't see it nowhere else, you know for sure you can go to the gym and get a glance at that. And for some men, that's motivation. When you go, you see the women, it motivates you to go. You're getting a feel of dopamine because you're seeing a woman's body, and you get to go to the gym and you get you get a workout and you get a show, because the gym promotes nakedness. But let's go to it. It referred to Exodus 20 and 26. Now, this is not to say do not exercise and take care of your body. Of course, you want to do that. But as it pertains to going to the gym, these are just some things to consider. Exodus 20 verse 26. Is it 20? Let's just start at 24. An altar. Let's read verse 23. Ye shall not make with me gods of silver, neither shall ye make unto you gods of gold. An altar of earth thou shalt make unto me. Thou shalt sacrifice thereon thy burnt offerings, and thy peace offerings, thy sheep and thine oxen. In all places where I record my name, I will come unto thee, and I will bless thee. And if thou wilt make me an altar of stone, thou shalt not build it of hewn stone. For if thou lift up thy tool upon it, thou hast polluted it. So this altar has to be made of natural rock, more like naturally placed stones, right? Verse 26 is the point. Neither shalt thou go up by steps unto mine altar, that thy nakedness be not discovered thereon. So, the nakedness being referred, like, So I know here in Richmond, the Richmond Court, right? They got these tall steps that if you're going up the steps and a woman is adorned in modest apparel, you could see right up under her garment. You can see right up under her garment. And so, or say a man has on a big a garment, linen garment or something. He ain't got no t-shirt on, he just got his garment on. You can see up under it. And so by not having steps, the Most High is thinking so far ahead. Jehovah is thinking so far ahead that he doesn't even want us to be seen immodestly by glance. Because as you're going up the steps, somebody could see up under your garment. And he doesn't want your nakedness to be seen. So when we go into the gym and sisters got their shoulders out, and I'm not trying to be a prude, but he doesn't want our nakedness to be seen by each other. He don't want you being enticed by each other, right? He wants us to be modest, okay? He doesn't want our nakedness to be seen, you know? And so he has this stipulation here: don't make steps on the altar so that you don't go up on it and your nakedness is seen. So then how then do we then turn and go to the gym where all nakedness is seen? Right? It just all begets more and more wickedness, unlawfulness. But we assimilate from we go from our culture into their culture. Point 4, neglecting the temple and sacrifices. Verse 14, the priest had no courage to serve anymore at the altar, neglecting the sacrifices. This reflects a total abandonment of the Levitical priesthood, which was central to the covenant relationship with God. To stop performing sacrifices to break the most sacred commands in Exodus, Leviticus, and Numbers. Example, Leviticus 1-7. So this reflects a total abandonment of the Levitical priesthood, which was central to the covenant relationship with Elohim. Point 5, idolatry and cultural betrayal. Think about how long we've been practicing sports and athletics sports and working out. Look at all the fitness influencers now. It's like, and a lot of fitness influencers are let me not say a lot, but I've seen where adult film stars are fitness influencers, video vixens are fitness influencers, right? OnlyFans models, fitness influencers. And it's like, okay, they age out of that. Now they switch to another hustle, fitness influencing, right? Point 5, idolatry and cultural betrayal. Not setting by the honors of their fathers, they rejected their spiritual heritage, Abraham, Moses, the prophets, for the glory of Greece, idolatry, humanism, philosophy, sports, and fame. This was a direct betrayal of the commandment to be holy and set apart. Leviticus 20:26, Deuteronomy 7:26. Now, look what look what this stuff encourages. Idolatry, humanism. What is that? What is humanism? Hey Google, what is humanism?
Humanism is a broad philosophical stance and ethical life approach that emphasizes the value and agency of human beings, focusing on our capacity for reason, ethics, and self-fulfillment in this life. It generally does not rely on supernatural beliefs or divine intervention. Here are some key tenets of humanism. Emphasis on human potential. Humanism believes that humans have the capacity to lead ethical and meaningful lives and to solve their own problems through reason, compassion, and effort. It focuses on maximizing individual liberty and opportunity. Reliance on reason and science. Humanists generally use the scientific method, evidence, and critical thinking to understand the world and make decisions. They reject supernatural explanations for phenomena. Ethics based on human values. Morality and ethics in humanism are derived from human experience, empathy, and a concern for the well-being of all life on Earth. It emphasizes fairness, cooperation, compassion, and social responsibility. Importance of this life. Humanists typically believe that this life is the only one we have, and therefore we should strive to make the most of it and create a better world for ourselves and future generations. There is no belief in an afterlife or divine rewards/punishments. Individual dignity and autonomy. Humanism affirms the inherent worth and dignity of every individual and supports their right to give meaning and shape to...
Okay, gotcha. So, and I see why that is, because when people start going to the gym, they start, for one, you feel like you're doing something good for yourself because you've now invested into what you think is your health and bettering yourself. And by you going to the gym, now stake is put into, now I'm going there and I'm bettering myself, even though I'm participating in heathenish customs, and which the scripture says are against the law. Now, say you go into a food, one of those things where all the food trucks come and people go there. That's not going to be against the law unless you're going to consume unlawful meat. But this custom particularly was against the law. And this promoting humanism, much like now everybody is talking about the veganism and things of that nature, we're starting to put more reliance on the meat than we are the word. Scripture says it was not the herb nor mollifying plaster, but thy word that made someone whole. Because you could go to the gym, lose all the weight, get in better shape, and then totally miss what Jehovah was trying to teach you during this particular stint in your life, because there was something bigger for us to learn, but we decided to devote more time to going to the gym, right? Some of us might go to the gym 5 times a week, right? For those that are going to the street to minister, are you going to the street to minister 4 and 5 times a week? We'll go to the gym 4 and 5 hours out the week. Are we studying scripture 4 and 5 hours out the week? Are we as dedicated to that living as we are now the gym, right? And so it starts to become something that kind of takes you over, and then in comes the pictures. Right, now comes the pictures. Now you become a video vixen. Now let's monetize this. All right. Now let's make a whole page dedicated to me working out, and now you guys get to see me. We're supposed to be holy and set apart, but now I'm all on the camera. Now I want you to follow me in my journey. That's your journey. Lose weight for yourself. Why bring us into it? You know? Why do you need to be seen? Christ even said all the works they do to be seen of men. People can't even go to the gym in peace. Now that has to be something that has to be publicized. And it promotes humanism. You start becoming further away from God, Elohim, and start being closer to the ways of the world. Many are going to say in that day, Lord, did I not prophesy in your name, and in your name cast out devils, and in your name travel to, and in your name travel fro? And he's going to say, depart from me, I never knew you. So people are going to be doing what they think is right toward our Creator and His Son, and it does not equate to you having built a relationship with Him. These are just things to consider, you know, because we all want to make sure we're doing the right thing, and we want to make sure we're not missing the subtle nuances. Immortality it don't come easy. It don't come easy. In summary, it says the events described in 2 Maccabees 4 went against the law because new customs replaced divine commandments, pagan culture replaced by holy culture, priestly roles and temple services were abandoned, Greek values were glorified over Israelite heritage, worship of Jehovah was traded for assimilation into idolatry. This was more than political, it was spiritual treason. Jason's reforms represent a systemic rejection of God's covenant in favor of the world's power, pleasure, and prestige. Let me know if you'd like a visual breakdown or timeline to go with this. I said, could you create an image warning against these things for today's Torah observers to be reminded of? You gave an excellent breakdown of understanding the scripture in question, and it created this. Warning against assimilation and forsaking Torah. New customs, new government. I wanted something more like a comic, and it created this. Warning against assimilation and forsaking Torah. But then it created, a Ashkenazi looking S. So I said, could you create one more accurate with the scriptures? Right? And then it created this. Then of course I'm like, that brother ain't got no beard. We ain't trying to encourage that. So I said, and it created that. So I hope this is just some food for thought, and we consider these things. I know when I want to say 2 years ago now, about 2 years ago now, I wanted to get back on my grind and going back to the gym, But the wasn't always, little, the size I'm at now. But when I came into the truth, I was doing 2-a-days. Many of you know me in my life before the truth. It was active, okay? I was doing 2-a-days in the morning and in the evening. So I said, let me get back to that. Went to the gym on base in the morning, and then in the evening, toward the going down, before the sun went down, or toward the going down of the sun when it was cooler, I would ride 12 miles on my bike. Eventually, develop what's called bursitis in the hips. I'm losing weight. I'm on my way back to whatever, right? But I notice I am balanced. I'm going to the gym more than I'm going to the street. I'm going to the gym more than I'm reading scripture. I'm realizing, and I'm realizing this myself before I even got the bursitis. I'm realizing I'm now putting this as an idol. This has now become something I'm carving out time in my life for, and it's vain. It's vain. I can also lose weight by limiting how much I eat. I could work out in the house and in the garage if need be. I got weights in there, But I started turning this thing back into a object of attention that, and we gotta remember one of the scriptures tells us that our God is a jealous God. Put no gods before me. And so we let society gears us all towards beauty for women and insecurities, physical insecurities that create the gym economy, which now you think that you have to be there. I know people who are perfectly skinny and unhealthy, some dying, right? I know people who have been in shape, losing limbs, right? In shape, still have diabetes. Eating healthy, still have diabetes, right? So we're not really taking our lives into our own hand, right? We're not taking our lives into our own hand. Scripture says keep the commandments and live, not go to the gym and live. You can still have a heart attack on your run. You do not escape the hands of the living God. You do not escape death by assimilating into Greek culture. So just consider these things, brothers and sisters. Remember this, Exodus 20 and verse 26. Modesty. Our nakedness is not to be seen. Right? Last thing. There was this one day, right? I was downstairs, right? Because in my house, none of the males, we don't walk around in wife beaters and things like that. And I had to like take my shirt off or something, right? And my daughter saw me because I was doing something in the kitchen. I took my t-shirt off, and my daughter saw me. She saw my shoulders, right? And she did like this. And then she looked through, and she was just in disbelief because she's like, well, I don't think I'm supposed to be seeing this, you know? And that was the perfect reaction because she was not accustomed to seeing us. Even when the children get into the pool, the boys have on shirts. My daughter has on something to protect her modesty, right? They're not accustomed to just seeing each other's flesh, you know? Because these things can, over the course of time, you get numb to seeing it, right? And then it becomes a social norm. Oh, seeing brothers and sisters' skin and their bare bodies, which these are private things for your husband and your wife when that time comes, not for all the world to see. But if the heathen can get you to relegate yourself to the form, to the conduct of a Gentile, well, now you become like unto them, and there's really nothing more holy about you. You're now trying to conflate the two, trying to conflate the two by trying to balance the two. Oh, I could go to the gym and be modest. It's still a place of whoredoms. You're there working out. Somebody else is there trying to take pictures for men to see their behinds, right? Somebody else, you're there to work out, and other people are there. Other men are there to show off their pecs and their package to women online. So why are we in the same place? Especially if we ain't got to be there, like in the place of work or something. You don't have to be there, but you want to be there. And now you're just low key in that same type of spirit, posting pictures, doing the same thing. It's supposed to be separate. Make yourself special. It's okay. Be special, yo. Be special. Don't conform to the ways of this world. But what y'all think? All right. So